Hello? Okay, so today I am going to be working on a new Blender project called, that's going to be a darker kind of, you know, it's going to be a city scene, black and white, preferably, raining. And today I'm going to try to set up the scene, maybe start modeling some of the buildings, but mostly just, you know, get inspiration and set things up. So here's a brand new Blender file. I haven't touched this at all. And let's go. So first A to select all X delete. And now the scene is empty. So if we go over to, so let's stick over here. And here's what I want for the scene. I want to have let's start out with a plane. We're going to use these to model out where the buildings are going to be. So let's go to 7, which is the top view. And let's scale this up a little bit. Just scale this up 5. How about that? Um, hmm. And right now, I'm just kind of randomly placing around these buildings until I get something that I like. You know, just trying to figure out what I want to do here. Should also probably get in a camera. So here's a good trick that I learned recently. If you bring in a camera, an easy way to move it around is you click N to open up this little thing over here, right? You go to View, and then, well, first you click 0, right, to get into the camera, then Camera to View. And then when you move around, the camera moves with you. So this makes it really easy to set up a scene and make it so that people can like to make it so that you can move the camera and have people see it, you know. It's just yeah. So let's set this up down here. And we're gonna figure out what we want in the scene. I think I'm actually gonna put it over here. So this is gonna be a building kind of in the foreground, right? And this building's kind of gonna just like take a little bit of space, right? Just to give it a little thing. Well, let's duplicate this, grab it on the not Z, scale this on the Y, and this is going to be a building front right here. So this is meant to be a large building. And right here, my intent is that there's going to be a road heading through the middle. And on this road, we're going to have, you know, some people walking past and stuff. Here, to make this easier to see, we're just so you know, we're in the Eevee rendering engine original. If we go over here and you click random, then you can actually distinguish objects better. So especially if you're doing it like this, and there's people who sorry my internet. So we're gonna have it set it up like this, and we don't really have to have too many buildings in the scene. We just have to have enough that Just have to have enough that we can kind of like see what's going on here. Let's get this little thing right here, extrude it. X. There we go. Let's get that little path set up. I'm not sure why I did that, but you know, it looks nice. Might as well. Grab X, no Y, sorry. Then let's check this screen right here. So if we take these buildings and give them all a solidify modifier right here, then we're actually going to be able to see them a tiny bit better. Just to kind of give like an idea of how it's going to be if it's moved up. So let's give it a thickness of 1, -1, so that it sticks out, and then let's do the same with these. Solidify -1, modifier, solidify -1. Okay, so that's actually quite tall. Let's try to see if we can get a better angle on this thing. I would actually like it if this building's I would actually like it if this building's quite a bit taller, you know? So let's go -2. Though, yeah, that works for now. Actually, you know, it might be good. What if we made it for a scene from a rooftop? That could also look nice. I was actually thinking about that. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we should do it from a rooftop or? Um, let's do it. Let's do a. Why not? I think that that'll look nice if I do it. Hello. Okay, let's set the scene up slightly differently. So let's make sure to turn this off the camera to view before we start moving around and doing stuff, you know. So let's delete this stuff. Okay. So this is going to be the main building, and we don't actually have to have all the stuff in it right now. I do want to have just an idea of where we're going to put this door. So let's scale this up to scale on the Y 1.5 just to make it a little bit more door-like, you know. Grab Y. Let's put the door right here. So right now, I'm just putting that in so that we can see where the door about is going to be. Now I'm going to go back to 0, camera to view, and another good tip is that you always want this kind of stuff to be to scale. So let's just make sure that our stuff is to scale. So this door should probably be around like 2 meters high because that's the height of a door, you know, 4 meters high. So that's already kind of a lot. So just to give us some scale here, I'm gonna add in a cylinder. Scale should said to make this cylinder thinner. So 0.3 about. And grab it on the Z1. And this right here is the size of a person. Okay, and we are gonna have a person in this scene. So in order to be able to easily scale things and check the height of things, it's really useful to have a person in this something of the height of a person in the scene so that you can tell how tall things are. Let's then go back to 0. Let's make this solidify a tiny bit thicker, -3, just so that it extends past our view. Actually, -2 is, because if we do 0, it's that tall, so -2 is that tall. Now, let's see how tall this building is right now, because I would like to, let's apply this right now, just to make it a nice cube. And let's see how tall this building is. So I'm still on the measuring thing, which is right over here. To measure it, it appears to be 10 meters tall, which should be about 4 stories. I'm gonna search how tall the average story is. How tall is a story in meters? So Interesting. So one floor is usually 4.3 meters tall. So if I were to, so take this right here. If this is 10 meters, then that's probably 2 stories right there. And I want this building to have at least 2 stories. So this is good actually. 10 meters is right about what we need, but I'm going to grab this thing over here and grab it. Oh, I hit it. Sorry, I clicked H on accident. Grab Z 0.6, and that will make it just a little bit more, yeah. If we go back to here and we click Control R, there we go. Then we can have just a little line right there, just to mark where the stuff is, where the thing is, where the story separation is. I'm going to extrude this, scale it, just like 1.1. Oh, that doesn't look very good. I just want to have a visual way that I can see in this mode what it is in this mode. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn off I'm just going to click back to material to make it a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to set this to a different vertex group. And we are going to call this assign second story. And then if we deselect, we click A, deselect, interesting. Let's select, oh, because it's a vertex group. Okay, this might not actually work. I thought this was going to work, but it's not going to work. If we just select these, what I need is a separate material. So I go to the material and I get plus plus, new. So this one, assign it, and then A, deselect. See, it only selects the bottom one, which is weird. We need to assign it the second one, assign. Now if we go to this one, we can scroll down to viewport display, and let's make this just a darker, just a grayish color. And then on the other one, let's move this viewport display. So this doesn't actually change the render, just also to be a little bit darker. Now if we tab into edit mode, then now we can see an obvious difference between the first story and the second story. And this will help us distinguish between the 2 stories. Now I'm gonna see, whenever you're doing this kind of project, you always want to see, it's easy to look on the internet to figure out heights and general stuff. So how tall is a door? Which might seem like a stupid question, but oftentimes if you get it wrong, it'll look kind of weird. So it says here a door is usually around 2 meters tall, but we already checked and realized that this door is 3 meters tall. So unless we want to have like a grand door, we don't need a 4-meter tall door. That's like twice the height of a normal door. So we could select this. So let's go here and let's do a 3D cursor because I want it to scale like that. I don't want it to move very much. So if I do it like that and I scale it, maybe let's do 0.5, then that's technically the size of a door, but that doesn't quite look right to me, and I'm not sure. So let's Command Z, set this back to median point. There it is. So it's also saying right here that the story is this high, but the problem is that if the problem comes that the floors actually have thickness. And so I don't know, so the thing I'm kind of going for here is I want to kind of do like a Victorian style, but more like dark and gritty. So it's gonna be a Victorian style building, and it's gonna be raining, and the man, which is represented by this thing here. That's not what it's gonna be in the end, but it's what we got. Is going to be walking in the door. We're not gonna see him. We're just gonna see the back of him. There's gonna be a road right along this path right here. There's gonna be a road, and then there's maybe, just maybe, this is just an idea, that the view the view that we're getting is somebody looking down on him, like spying on him, you know? And so, in order to do that, you know what? Just to make it easy, I'm just going to duplicate this building on the x-axis. Let's move that 20 meters. No, that's not going to work. Let's go here, Shift D, X, 20, and now let's P separate. So now that's a separate object. Let's make this a separate color. Let's make this red for now. No, Command Z, because this is a separate color. So we have to click over here to create a different material. Let's actually label our stuff. So right here, sorry. So this is going to be the main building. This is secondary building. It's always good to name your stuff. This is human reference. This is the door. And that's the camera, already named. I also like to put things in separate collections. So let's go M, new collection, buildings, enter. Okay. Let's actually add, did that not work? Oh yes, gotta click OK. So now those are in separate. Let's actually put the door in there as well. Because it's part of the building, you know. And I'm right now. So here's the game plan. I'm gonna lay out the scene. I'm gonna set it all up. Then I'm gonna go into a separate thing and I'm just gonna model this building right here. It's not gonna be exact. It's just gonna be a rough. It's gonna be, well, no. I'm gonna model this entire building right here and I'm gonna get it done. Then I'm gonna import it back into this scene. I'm going to also use some of the stuff from here to import the other stuff. I'm gonna get a cool texture for the road. Then I'm gonna make the human. Then I'm gonna set up the rain simulation, set up some lights, set up some cool effects, and then I'm done. Those will probably be a couple videos in and of themselves. So, I am now going to, I gotta finish setting up the scene. So this is the secondary building. Let's extrude this, the thing that we learned, oh my gosh, which was 4 negative. I wonder, oh, the normals got flipped. Huh, that's weird. So sometimes this happens with the normals get flipped, but I forget how to flip the normals because I extrude said 4.3. Obviously not. The normals didn't get flipped. I apologize. Oh, there it is. There it is. I figured it out. Look, look, look. 3. Let's hide that. So 3. I actually I was wondering why the door. If you want to say anything, just type it in chat. I'm looking over the chat right now so I can answer. Um, this is 10.6 meters when it needs to be 8.6 meters. So are we done? So for the stories to look right, because I was wondering why the doors didn't look right, right? So we got to scale it on the Z. About if it's 10, then we got to do a 0.4. No, 0.8 because we want 8 out of 10. This makes it a little bit less precise, not quite as precise as we want it. It's pretty gosh darn close, I will say. Excuse me. Now for this door, let's do the same thing where we scale it down until it looks right about right. That looks really good for the size of a door. And yes, I know most people aren't 2 meters tall. We can scale it down on the Z just a tad. 0.8. I don't know. I don't know how tall most people are. No, I'm kidding. It's about right for the door. Of course, we're gonna have windows and stuff. Like if I wanted to Z, Y, just to model some window skills Z. make it a little bit smaller, grab it on the Z and bring it over there. It kind of looks like a window. Shift EX. But of course, we're going to be modeling all of this in a separate tab. So right now, I'm going to set up this secondary building that I said I was going to set up. Shift X, and let's actually tab into edit mode. X, delete all the vertices. Do here, if you double select, it doesn't ring around. Fill it. And now I actually am planning on having this be a domed building, so not a domed building, a building with a slanted roof. And we don't see the thing with 3D modeling is that you don't actually have to. The trick that you don't have to model everything, especially if it's not being seen. Um, let's actually move this building a bit to on the x-axis. Let's make it a more distinguishable color. Duplicate it. Call this building, whatever. No, we gotta call it secondary building. Oh, I forgot that I already have a secondary building. So let's, that's pretty funny. And let's actually make this, see, it doesn't quite pop enough. While we're modeling, it's actually probably better for a workbench. So I'm just gonna change that really fast. And the way I like to do workbench is mat cap, select the red one, and go to rendered mode. And this looks a little bit nicer, and it still keeps that nice darker color that makes it easier to see. Viewport display, we want it to be lighter, just so that we can tell the difference. 0, camera to view, space, and I want to do a walk animation, not a walk animation, but walk navigation. So walk navigation is really cool. If you click Shift, then you can, if you click Tab, then it sets you up so that you're walking like this, and it's pretty fun to mess around with. But it's also really good if you want to set up a scene so that you're like this is like the perfect use for it right here. So I could also, so I'm trying to decide, do I want to have a tiny bit of the shingles right here to represent, to let the viewer know that we're on a roof? Or do I want to come closer down here so that we just see the person? That's the real question. I think that if I set it up like this, we also get to see a little bit of the second story, and I was planning on adding some frills around here, right? On this this secondary storyline. I was planning on adding like a little some fancy buttresses over here. That doesn't look very good, but I was planning on adding some fancy stuff over there. So by adding this in, I could make it just a little bit more, and thank you for the one viewer who's here watching. I get that I'm not a very large YouTuber, but I appreciate that you're here, and if you would like to subscribe, I would also appreciate that. Though, if you don't have to, I'm planning on live streaming this stuff in the future and continuing this project, and eventually releasing some tutorials on how to do some more concise tutorials on how to do some Blender stuff. This is just kind of going through the steps of how I do this. Camera to view, walk navigation tab. So the two options right now are over here, and I'm not totally sure which one I'm going to do. The nice thing about this is that I can change it whenever I want. So I'm going to actually, I think this looks best. I think this looks good. I think this is a good camera angle. We want to have them in the middle. I think that's a good camera. Oh man, I messed up. Okay, space, walk navigation, back up just a little bit. And actually, when you're using this walk navigation, you use the WASD keys, tab to enable gravity for yourself. And then if you want to fly, if you want to not fly, but if you want to teleport to where you're looking, you click space, tab. And then, yeah. That's just to show how it works. Let's back up a little bit, set that up, put them right. Let's do it like that. Tab, nope, yeah, just tab, and select to turn off the view. Do that thing. So now this is nice because I only really have to model this building right here. The other buildings are not actually going to be part of it. There's no other buildings that you can see, right? Right now you can see the roof of this building. So actually, in order to make this scene easier, see, the funny thing about this is that it's 3D modeling is a lot of, as people say, smoke and mirrors. You know, if you're doing an animation, you do have to do more. But if you're doing it like this, you only really have to do the parts that are seen. So right here, you only have to do that part. And it's nice to have it scale X, no. Oh, okay. Command Z. I have this still turned on, so I'm going to turn it on the median point. Y. 0, perfect. Scale Y. Just a little bit shorter. No need, no need to have it so long, especially because it'll take up rendering power, computing stuff. Try to compute things that don't need to be computed. Let's add in a plane. This is going to be the road. Oh, we want to tab out of edit mode. Always remember that. Oh, and another thing you want to do is Control A to apply location, rotation, scale. Though you can actually just apply all transformations. This helps out a lot. This will make it so that it doesn't do weird things, which I know it just sounds whatever, but like now that we're in object mode, you can see object mode over here. Object mode, edit mode. The easy way to switch between those is tab, Shift A, plane, grab X, 1 to 2, scale X, just to make it a little bit extending, grab X. Don't have to be exact here. So it is nice to be exact. On the X, scale it on the Y, grab it on the Y, scale it more on the Y. We're going to find a cool texture for this. And then we're also, so looking over here. So let's go over what we've done, right? We've set up the scene in the most basic way possible, right? This is the door. This is the building that we're going to be looking at. This is the path. This is a person. And we're actually going to build a model of a person, or at least the shape of a person, because we're not showing the face. So we just really need the shape. Put it right here. And it's going to look like they're walking into this doorway. The door is going to be open. We built this rooftop over here to imply that we're looking down on them from the rooftop. This path down here, because he can't be standing on nothing. And then we'll have rain coming down from the sky. And an interesting thing here is that we don't actually need any of this building in the back. We can delete all of that. And Hollywood houses, smoke and mirrors, guys. That's how it works. Though we will probably have to model a little bit of stuff back here behind the door, and maybe a little bit of stuff in the windows, though we can probably add in silhouettes with lighting behind them just to make it seem like there's stuff that behind there, even though there's not. And so let's make sure to save our project with Command Save. Let's go to the desktop. Let's call this scene. Let's call this the Victorian Blender scene. Victorian Blender scene set up. Save the Blender file, and I'm going to put that in its separate folder just to make it a little bit easier. And thanks for showing up. This was really great. We got in the scene. Next time I start streaming, which will probably be tomorrow or later today. Tomorrow at this same time, I'm going to set up the back of this house. I'm gonna go into another Blender file. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna build. Words, man. Gonna build the model of this house right here. And I'm gonna find some cool textures for the road and the roof. And I'm gonna finish up the general modeling. Though the really important part here, the things that have to look the best, right, is this house front right here. It has to look amazing. This is like the thing that's being focused on in this scene. So there has to be like windows and cool stuff. This door, it's gonna look great in the end. And Let's rename this. Always got to remember that to road. And that's all for now. Thank you so much for coming and watching me do Blender. I hope you learned something interesting. And if you enjoyed, please subscribe. And I'll see you all I'll see you all later. So have a nice day. Bye.